Every one of us carries a story we don't always talk about. The quiet battles, the heavy days, the moments that cracked us open, and the moments that stitched us back together. We've all stumbled. We've all broken. We've all stood at the edge of something we weren't sure we could come back from. And somehow, through strength we didn't know we had, we rose anyway. Because inside every person, there is a spark that refuses to die, a hope that refuses to stay silent, a heart that refuses to give up no matter how dark the night gets. And that's why we're here, to listen, to learn, to witness the courage it takes just to be human. Every soul you hear on the show has walked through something that shaped them, sharpened them, and carried them forward. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a battle. Everyone has a journey. And this is where you come to hear it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome in to Uncle Jimmy's podcast. Today's episode is more than a conversation. It is a moment to honor the warriors who have carried the weight of this nation on their shoulders. In every era of American history, there are some of those who raise their right hand, swear an oath, and stand watch so the rest of us may live in peace, in freedom. And some of those warriors come home with battles that doesn't end when deployment does. Our guest today is one of those warriors, but he is also something more. He is proof that even in the darkest valleys, the American spirit can rise. A soldier who faced the trauma of war, the struggle of transition, the shadows of addiction, and still found the strength to fight for a new mission, saving lives, restoring hope, and reminding veterans everywhere that they are not alone. He's an author, a mentor, a voice for the voiceless, and a living example of what it means to continue serving long after the uniform is folded away. America, today we welcome a man whose courage didn't end on the battlefield. It began there. Please join me in honoring the remarkable journey of Shawn Laurie, a warrior, a healer, and a symbol of the unbreakable American heart. Welcome in, brother.
Hey, what's up, man? Nice to be here, and great intro, but thank you, man. I'm glad to be here.
It's all the truth, you know. I read some stuff about you and, you know, some articles and some other things, you know, and it's simply, one of those things that doesn't go far enough. A thank you, you know, from one American to the next. But, you know, we appreciate everything, you know, the men and women of the armed forces do for us every single day to keep America free, you know, so we can go to church, so we can go to the local store, so we can get in a car and drive whenever we want, so women can vote. There's so many things that we take for granted here in the States, but I think one of the biggest things is that we have to start talking about the veterans and giving them their flowers and giving them their respect and praise, you know, because it just doesn't happen often.
We're grateful for it. We might not accept it very well, but because to us it's a job. To us, I mean, obviously we're proud to do what we did, but to us it was a job.
Yeah.
You know, we had to do what we had to do, but at the end of the day, we're always grateful for, thank yous. And all I can actually say is just thank you guys for your support.
Oh, we appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, where you were born and raised, a little bit about your, your service and what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Shawn, obviously. So I come from a military family as well. My dad served 22 years. I think he did like 4 years Marines, and he did like another 20 in the Army.
Okay.
So we grew up military brat. All over the world, Germany. We lived twice in Germany, all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast. Changing schools every 3-4 years. That was fun, but. But we did it, you know, and then finally we settled in South Carolina after my dad retired. My dad was field artillery. He was gone all the time in the field. He was in during the whole what was it? The Saudi Arabia war back in 89 when we had the real fast war. What was it? Desert Storm.
Desert Storm.
Yeah,
the first Gulf War.
Yep, the Gulf War. Yep. He was actually in Germany at the time, and I remember him training up for it, and he was so ready to go, and then. Well, my order's been canceled. The war's over. He was so pissed.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much to your dad for his service as well.
Yeah. It wasn't a amazing life. You know, back then I tell people if the military wanted to have you if the military wanted you to have a family, they would have issued you one. So back then my dad was very military mission first. You know, today it's a lot different. It's family first kind of mentality. So dad wasn't around a lot. Mom was single mom pretty much. All kinds. I was a trouble kid. I was in trouble all the time. They always say the preacher's kid, the police kids. Well, military brats we were all bad too.
How many siblings?
I got a brother. I got one brother, one young brother. He's a younger brother, and he wasn't. So I was more the black sheep. He was more the good boy per se. Yeah. So he grew up like I did, and eventually, I moved out and whatever and got my life together. Well, tried to get my life together, got married, had some kids. That didn't last long. Got divorced really quick after a few years, got married real young. But to start my military journey, I was actually one of the late bloomers, man. I was like 23. And I think it was like I was 22 or something like that when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
So that's what really, that's what really got me like, wow, I want to do this because you remember when 9/11 happened, we used to watch it on TV.
Yeah.
Like it was showing the Iraq war. Like we were watching these guys run around and shooting and fighting. It was crazy. And I was like, man, I want to do that. Plus I always had this passion of just wanting to serve I wanted to do something better, man. I was always in trouble. I was always getting in trouble with the law. I was always considered like I wasn't never going to be nothing. And I don't know. I just had this passion to want to serve. And
So that was
I joined
right after 9/11, right after
right after
9/11.
9/11.
A lot of kids from Boston
Um,
here, the same thing. They joined, and like you said, I know, I remember, like you just said, with the Iraq War when it started. I remember watching TV and they'd show the traces. You'd see them
yep,
in the middle of the
yep,
night, just and it
yep.
was like,
It
wow,
turned me on, man. I loved it. Like
know,
I wanted to be in that shit, and
hey,
that was my. I wanted to do it, and I had a few red flags. It took me a little bit to get in, so it was like I don't know, 2004. I finally got in. I joined the South Carolina National Guard. I was going to do active duty completely, but I already had a few kids. I was going through a divorce. Like, I wanted to be a good dad. I didn't want to be gone all the time. And my mentality is I didn't want to be gone all the time. I want to be home for my kids. So if I can serve on the weekend and maybe still do something, fine. Because they guaranteed me I'd deploy anyways. And we remember National Guard ran that war. I mean, there was so many National Guardmen, like we're talking 200, 300,000 guardsmen were in Iraq.
yeah,
So, anyways, I joined in 2004. I went in as a 12 Bravo, which is a combat engineer. I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri, and it was from October to February, and got out finally in '05. And hell, it wasn't '07. I got my papers to go to Iraq, and so I was like, okay, here we go. We're going to Iraq, and it wasn't but 30 days prior out they switched our orders and said I was going to Afghanistan. So yeah, I didn't really know how to take it. It was kind of like, wait a minute, I know about Iraq, but what the heck is going on in Afghanistan? Like
yeah,
nobody was really talking about Afghanistan besides the Bin Laden thing.
yeah.
Got
Like
to,
at that time, they were just searching for them, through the caves, through everything. There was some
yeah, it
missile
wasn't really like
launches,
it,
and
it really wasn't showing like a war.
yeah,
It was just showing more of like that kind of stuff. So, anyways, we were just kind of like, whatever, maybe whatever. So I went to Afghanistan in '07, did the tour over there, ended up getting remarried before I left to my wife of 18 years. Did our deployment, got home, everything was okay. I mean, I didn't even do my job, bro. I was like a filler, what they call a OJ. Like, in the civilian world, you talk about when you fill in for a job, they call like OJT,
yeah,
on the job training. Well, that's kind of what we did over there. Like, I didn't do 12 Bravo. I was doing an 88 Mike job, which was a truck driver job.
yeah.
So I was pretty much doing logistics, but we were gunning and we still had the combat type stuff, but our mission was to just run trucks, run logistics, run mail, run
Or
weapons, run
convoys.
stuff, convoys across the country. So, avoiding IEDs and shit like that. But it was a good tour. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean, I came home, it was fine. I still struggled a little bit with a few things, but I made it. And then in 2010, I got deployed again, and that was a bad year. That was a bad year.
That was a rough
I,
deployment.
that was if anybody looks in the history books, like you talk about Iraq 2003, 2004, Fallujah, all that, Afghanistan 2010 was the year.
Yeah.
Like we lost thousands of soldiers. And
What part of Afghanistan were you in when you redeployed?
the first time I was in a place called Gardez.
Okay.
And we used to run convoys from Gardez to Kabul, and it wasn't bad. It was like I said, it wasn't bad. Excuse me.
No
And
problem.
and uh and then the second time I was stationed to a place called Sharana, and we used to. So I actually went and did my job. For those that don't know what a 12 Bravo is, combat engineer. Our job is basically we take care of the landmines, and that's what we do. We use the prongs, we look for landmines, we look for things in the ground, or we drive these big old vehicles. So I was a Husky driver, and basically I was driving a big old landmine. I mean, excuse me, a big old oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? Like, when you're one of
Detector
those,
almost.
like a metal detector.
Yeah.
So we're like a big old metal detector, and that's my job, is basically to run a convoy. We're route clearance. And so we would lead the way for like infantry and stuff. So we have to clear the
Okay.
roads of IEDs that are, and if we found one, we would blow them up.
So you
We would blow
guys
them
go
up and
first, technically.
we'd go
You
first.
guys are
We'd
sent
go
out,
first.
so no problem. Take your time, brother. No worries at all.
But
Yeah, so you guys go
yes,
first. So like when you get the orders, right? So you guys go out first. Is there like a team with you to make sure you guys
yeah.
secure? Obviously, guys with weapons.
So
You know,
so we'd have like the Husky, we'd have an RG, we'd have a Buffalo. So like the Buffalo, have you ever seen those vehicles? You might have seen them. They're real big vehicles and they have like a claw and they dig in the ground.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so my job was to literally drive so imagine driving for like 10 hours a day across these crazy dirt roads, mountains, mountain vibes, all that. And you basically drive and I have this like screen and I have these panels. And as I'm driving, I wait for these pings, right? And I
Okay,
can
yeah.
kind of see in like a 4D dimension under the ground. So as I'm driving, if I get a ping, I look at my screen and it could be a Coke can, it could be rocks, or it could be an IED. It's my job to decide if I think we should bury or if we should dig for it, pull out an IED and blow it. And in that case, we're saving lives. Or I can make the wrong decision, skip it, and then somebody runs it over and
Then there's
ultimately
issue.
dies. It's a stressful ass job.
Oh, I can only
And I
imagine.
was,
Now, while you're doing that, are they like you ever taken fire?
they're all behind me,
The whole crew's behind you, but do you ever
the
take
whole
fire
crew.
from like the
Oh, yeah.
Taliban?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
shooting at you guys.
So there was
Make
this
sure.
one time, man. Yeah. So one of the times that was really bad is, and I struggled with this for a long time. There was an IED that I actually missed. I did find our company's first IED, and we found multiple IEDs, but I also missed one.
Yeah.
And we were going around this berm or whatever, and this little hill that goes up. Well, it's really hard for me to just stop on a hill and be able to figure out, like nothing ping. I just kept going. Like I ran it over, everything was fine. I went around the berm. The guy behind me went around the berm. Well, the third guy he went around and boom, we're talking 700-pounder, blew the freaking tires off. Everybody in the vehicle the bird had to come in. We didn't lose nobody that day, thank God,
Thank God.
but there were some injuries and it was just so bad, bro. And once that happened, obviously a secondary started. And as soon as they got out to check for a secondary IED, we started taking mortar fire. We started taking, gunfire.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they would wait to hit you and then come out of the woodworks to try to,
To try to kill you guys. No,
yeah,
so
it was just, it was,
quick,
man.
quick question about that. So, what happens? Is it a case of where they, probably put it too deep? Where they dug it too deep that you missed it, or because you got to think about it. They're sitting
That is
around
a good,
waiting for that. You know what I mean? Waiting for you. So
oh yeah.
if they put it all the way
Oh, yeah.
down where you can't detect it, right?
Mhm.
Or they could have,
Well,
remotely exploded it as well.
yep, they were doing those. That was big. The remote control where they hide out in the mountains or they hide out and they watch you and they watch the convoys and but they were so smart, man. They were building these IEDs out of like wood and pressure plates and all kinds of weird stuff. So if I missed it, it's more likely because I was driving around, I just missed it. That's why in our trainings, we were taught as you drive in a convoy, you try to follow each other's tracks.
Oh,
Because if the guy in front of you is driving and he doesn't blow up, well, then it's probably safe. So all it would take is somebody to literally just go over a little bit too far, hit that pressure plate, you're done.
yeah.
And that's how they were not winning the war, but that's all they had. They
Yeah, they
can't
were.
shoot, they can't aim,
Yeah.
they don't do anything but pray and spray, and they build bombs.
So they were
And
just slowing you guys, basically slowing you down.
well,
So one of the
yeah,
hottest things, it must be for you is, you're in that, so is that 7 days a week you're in that 10, 12 hours a day?
7 days a week, bro. We had
Every day.
no days off.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
days off.
So you must be like, take that for instance, what just transpired, what you talked about. You must go to the base that night and you probably don't get any sleep. You're probably beating yourself up over
No,
it. You know
because
what I
usually
mean?
that night we're getting hit by mortars. So you go back home and you feel safe and you're finally done for the day and you clean up your vehicles, you get ready for the next day. So that takes hours doing all your maintenance stuff.
Yeah.
And then hopefully nothing happened that day where all you got to do is really focus on your maintenance stuff, get your vehicle ready for the next day. So that takes 2 hours. You finally go eat, depending on what time you're back. If you're late, you're probably eating an MRE or something. You finally try to get some sleep, and next thing you know, the damn alarms are going off because mortars are dropping all over the base. So it's like,
Crazy. So how many
there's no
nights,
peace.
how many hours a night would you get to sleep, would you say? I mean,
4,
4 hours.
maybe 4,
Yeah.
3 to 4 hours. 4
And
hours.
then you're getting
5
up, you're
hours.
getting into that stress machine basically, and for you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But again, I thank you for your service and thank you.
It got to a point to where that was such a stressful deployment that it got to a point, even for a lot of the guys, man, like just dreading every day
Yeah.
because you just don't know, you know what I mean? And we did lose guys, man. We lost a lot of guys on that deployment, and from each battalion, like RCPs, we're route clearance patrol. So I was RCP 3, and there was RCP 4, RCP 5, RCP 6, and each one was losing somebody, you know what I mean? And it was just like, fuck, dude, we just heard our boys down the road just got hit. They just lost Sergeant so and so. You know, we lost 2 guys, you know, Sergeant Harley and Sergeant Rabin, man. They were really good guys from our unit. And I know y'all don't know what this means. Maybe some vets might, but imagine 1,000 pounds of pressure, 1,000 pounds of pressure in a damn pressure cooker, and it just blows up, you know, and it took out some of our guys. I mean, it destroyed an entire record, you know, like on those records that pull vehicles and stuff,
Yeah.
like a record.
You can swear on here. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a army mouth.
No worries at all.
And so, yeah, so it was a crazy ass deployment, man. Luckily, but getting to the shitty part. So I was there for about 7 months, and I remember we were on a mission one day, and we were just going and going. And I'm in this little box, bro. Like maybe on your off time, look up the word husky in the military. So just Google a husky, and you'll see the weird shaped vehicle. It's like a little box, and you know, there's no room for me. So we all took a break, right? So it was time for us to take a break. And prior to deployment, just to let you know, just to give you guys some context, when we do, as a National Guardman, we have to do a lot of training before we go to combat. Like, we don't just go to combat. Like, we
Yeah.
have to train for 3 to 4 months before we even leave. And while I was training on this last deployment, I was playing some basketball. I was out there doing some PT, and we played some boys from New York, and basketball is one of my favorite sports. And I was going up for a layup. Some guy come down, he hit me, and I ended up messing my knee up. But I didn't know how bad it was. I just kept my mouth shut. If anybody knows, you don't tell the Army nothing because they're gonna, you know. So I'm just like, I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah.
So I make it through the whole deployment. I mean, through the whole, you know, the whole training. I get to Afghanistan. We're 7 months in. I've dealt with everything, like a little bit of pain, but it's not that serious. Well, we take a break one day, and as I'm on top of the husky, I'm crawling out of this husky and to go use the bathroom, and like a dummy, I wasn't paying attention. I jumped off of the vehicle and I landed wrong and ended up rolling down a hill. And I don't know, dude. I don't know what it was, but I landed so wrong, and had so much heavy gear on me and I think my leg was already messed up, but I ended up tearing my ACL. I tore my meniscus, a complete tear. I didn't even realize. I was just in agony. I was in agony. And so I tried to hold on for like 30 days, bro. Like, I'm going into 8 months now. The tour's almost over. I'm almost there. And the commander's like, "Are you sure you don't want to go get this done? Let's, like, even though we're almost there." I'm like, "Nah, man, I ain't leaving. I love my boys. Like, I'm staying." And then we went on a mission one day. And I remember us going back to Gardez. It was awesome. We were going to Gardez, one of my favorite, you know, I had already been there before. So I'm like, I'm going to this one. I want to go see my old base.
Yeah.
And anybody that's ever been there, they have these big white rocks, like these huge white rocks. I guess because it's all desert and it's just you know, I don't know. It just helps it from getting all muddy and stuff. But it can hurt even wearing boots, it can mess your ankles up if you
Yeah.
step wrong. So I was on the way to Chow Hall, and me and some buddies were talking, and then I didn't realize the commander was behind me, but we had already talked a month prior. And on the way into the Chow Hall, I stepped on this rock wrong. I don't know what happened, but I just fell. Like, if you have no ACL, your leg's already weak.
Giving
I just fall right in front of the commander, and I'm just like you get like a good 2 or 3 minutes of pain, and you just kind of got to let it go away, and you're like, okay, all right, I'm good. And I get up and I start walking back to the chow hall. Commander stops me on the way in. He goes, "Hey, Laurie." I'm like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Come here." I'm like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Come see me after chow." I'm like,
sending you home.
I went into the office. We were talking. He's like, "Look, bro, we got like 3 months left." He's like, "We're going into the winter months." He's like, "You know, it's going to slow down." He said, "Most of the time, the real fighting happens in the summer.
Yeah.
The winter time, they pretty much hide in the mountains and start building for the, you know, because it's freezing in Afghanistan." So anyways, he's like, "Go home, go get your surgery," you know, or no, my bad. I apologize. I got to back up a little bit. He's like, "I need you to go to Guitar so we can find out what's wrong with you." We didn't know at the time. So he ships me to Guitar. I go to Guitar. I'm on this amazing Air Force base. Right then and there, I'm like, I should have joined Air Force. What the hell was that? Beautiful chow hall, beautiful swimming pools. Like, hold up a minute. This is how Air Force lives? Like, you guys have swimming pools, chow halls, we're in Qatar. Like, holy crap. But I don't know. I get my MRI done, and I talked to the lady that was there, and she's not supposed to really tell me, but I'm like, "Please tell me. Like, this is how I found out." And she's like, "Well, you have a complete tear of your ACL. Your meniscus is barely hanging on. You're going to have reconstructive surgery. Like, you're done." And I'm like, "Oh God. So that's when the commander, and so that had already happened. And then when the commander saw me fall, he's like, come see me. And he's like, yo, we're just going to go ahead and give your surgery, go home, go to Fort Gordon, Georgia, have your surgery done. And then we'll just pick up back where we left off. Like, there's other shit going on. Like, dude, I'm probably going on my 3rd tour. They were already talking about going to Kosovo at the time. So I'm like, let's go. So that happened. Getting to the nitty gritty stuff is when I got to Fort Gordon, Georgia, and yeah. So we had a couple months left. I left early, had surgery. On my way there, they were feeding me what you call Percocets, the good old painkiller. Never took them a day in my life. I had no clue. Like, I'm used to Ranger candy, bro. Like, ibuprofen 800s. Like, give me that. I'm good. They started feeding me these Percocets, man, and
We
feeling
hooked.
instantly hooked, bro. Like, for me, I should have realized it. My mom was an alcoholic. My grandpa was an alcoholic. There's a lot of addiction in my family. Like, I should have, I don't know. I never really dealt with addiction before, and I didn't know, how it worked. And all I know is that I started taking these Percocets, man, and I started liking them. Like, I liked them. They didn't only kill the pain, but they gave me energy. They made me feel good. Like, I call them a happy pill. Like, man, these pills are insane. And so as I'm in Fort Gordon, man, I'm sitting there telling these doctors, yeah, I'm hurting. I need pills, pills, you know. And long story short, man, because we'd be here all night. I'd say I'm gonna tell you like this: like being there, the doctors started feeding me medicine. They started asking me about, on top of having surgery and on top of being hooked on the pain, already getting painkillers every day. At this time, I'm already 5, 6, 7 months in when I'm supposed to just have surgery. Now I'm already still stuck here for 6 months
Yeah.
because now it's, oh, here's a pill for your sleeping. Here's a pill for your nightmares. Here's a pill for your anxiety. Here's a pill for your, for your PTSD. Here's a pill, just a pill for everything. And I remember one day I took a picture and showed my wife at the time. I said, look at this. I had 16 different medications that I was taking for every symptom I had. They were giving me a pill
Just to get you
on
through
top of it, just to get me through the day. And I'm like, and we start believing that we're crazy. We start believing that there's something wrong with us. And then after a year and a half, now I was supposed to go for surgery, get surgery done, be done, and get back with my unit. A year and a half later, I'm still here. And then they come up to me and say, oh, by the way, we think it's best we just go ahead and med board you out. Like, go ahead and retire you out. You've done, 9 years. You've done 2 tours. Things will be good. Life will be good. You'll have your VA. Everything will be grand, you know? And
And you
you should
probably,
probably
you
just,
wanted to go out. You wanted to go out, your military career on your own, not from,
damn right.
from
Like,
what
that
they,
was my,
them telling you it's over. So you
right.
talk about, the Percocet, and you talk about,
Yep.
so that's where that's where you start your addiction.
Yeah, that's where the addiction started,
Yeah.
man. I started taking more than I was prescribed, obviously, because you start building a tolerance.
Yeah.
Then you get that friend that says, hey, bro, if you crush them up and snort them, you get hit harder. And you start doing that. And dude, I'm sitting here taking all these pills and I'm snorting all these pills just to get me, like, I'm already miserable. I'm away from my family. I'm 4 hours away from my family. I haven't seen my family the whole time I'm in deployment. Now I'm not seeing my family because I'm stuck at this base and I'm wanting to go home and I'm wanting to, it's just a lot of misery.
Yeah.
And I finally talked to my family about what they're saying to me. And they're like, you know what, you should probably just take it. Like, maybe it's a sign from God, all these talks. And you start convincing yourself, maybe I'm better off.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just get out, take the doctor's advice and move on. And
Yeah.
so that's what I did, man. So I ended up retiring out in 2012.
Okay.
They retired me out. At least I give them that. They retired me, like, officially retired me, early retirement basically, and sent me out the door.
Okay.
And as I was out the door, they sent me to, now you got to mind you now, I was taking these painkillers for over a year and a half.
Yeah.
They sent me home to a VA doctor who cut me off the first meeting
Right.
right away. So she's like, oh, I see where you've been taking Percocets, or I've just been taking these for, over 15 months now. That's not good for you. And you're also taking these anxiety pills. It's not good for you. So they just cut me off. And I'm like, okay, well, you do realize I'm going to go through withdrawal. Like, I can't just stop these pills. And that's what caused me to start looking for them on the streets.
Yeah.
I started buying them on the street. I started going from other drugs, like from Percocets. Oh, you got pills called Roxy's? You got bigger milligrams, 20s and 30s and 40s and Oxycontin. Like, it was the worst thing I could have done, man. But it just, if I drink a beer with it, it makes it intensify. Like, there's just so much. And it just went crazy, man. And I just went from 2011 all the way, 2011 and just 12 13, 14, 15, 16. My best friend unalived himself. We took his life in 2016. He was a veteran. He committed suicide, and then and then moving up. We'll get into how I got clean,
Yeah.
but all the way up to 2018, and that was just my life, bro. I was running around being a damn drug addict for 7 years.
7 years. You were taking 16 pills just to basically feel
Mhm.
normal, right? And
Just
you're
to feel
questioning
normal.
yourself like, am I going crazy? But you got to think of it, right? You're a young kid. You go over there. You do 2 tours in Afghanistan, right? You see things that nobody should ever see, right? Ever see.
Mm.
Whether it's explosions, losing guys in battle, people firing weapons at you, bombs blowing up right in front of you, see loss of life. A young kid from like you from South Carolina,
Mm.
we're so accustomed to, living the regular life and, being able to go to school and have the freedoms that we do. But here you are, you're going over there, and then you're thinking to yourself, am I crazy? No, you're not crazy at all. You've just been through so much friggin' trauma in your life just from 2 tours in Afghanistan, you know? And it's young guys like you that go over, and you make that sacrifice, and people will say, well, what sacrifice did he make? What sacrifice did he make? You're gonna hear his story now. 7 years. 7 years he spent ripping and running on, doing drugs and searching for drugs. He comes back, the doctor shuts him off, tells him no more. And what else is he gonna do? He's not gonna go cold turkey because then he's gonna get sick. So take us
He's
what
gonna
it's
get
like,
sick, and
for those 7 years, right? You're running the streets. What kind of, did you ever get to heroin?
so man, it was a hell of a journey, bro. And honestly, I was a husband, I was a father. You know what I'm saying? I had, my wonderful daughters, my sons. I got 5 kids total, and 2 from my prior marriage, from the first marriage, and then I had 3 from the current marriage. I was always a good dad and always did the right thing, always had a job, and military man and doing my shit. So when I kind of crossed over to being an addict, so much changed. It was crazy. Like even my little, like there's so much shameful stuff that I done and people seen, and I started doing things, stealing money and just being that junkie, and spending money where I didn't have it, and the family starting to sacrifice, and suffer because of it. Like there's a lot of dumb stuff that came with that. I did get to the heroin a little bit. Luckily for I don't know if it's God or if it's just because I was just so adamant about I enjoyed snorting like cocaine and stuff
Yeah,
up my nose. Like that was always my drug. I loved it up my nose, where some people filled the needle. I luckily never got to the needle.
yeah,
But I had friends hand me heroin, and you can also snort heroin.
yeah,
So I did get to that level a little bit, but before I was getting to that major, like it was transitioning over, but I got clean right before it really got hard. As I was getting clean, getting ready to get clean, it was being introduced to me.
yeah.
So luckily, when you hear how it happened, luckily by the grace of God, I give it that I never had to go the needle route, because I really don't think I'd be here today if that was the case.
That was the case, yeah. So,
Because
so take us through like, is it fair to say that there was a drug that you didn't try?
Mm.
Everything and anything?
Yeah, dude, it got to a point, man, where I was even trying, like, I even tried meth one time.
Yeah.
And that was the day that I was just done with life, and most of the time, whenever I did another drug, it was because I was sick. It was because I didn't have the money to do what I needed.
What you
So I
need.
was always looking for a reason to fix that fixed. I'm sick, I'm on the toilet, I'm throwing up, I'm just nauseated. Like you feel like your whole body's just shutting down and you're just sick as hell, bro. And I didn't know how, and you don't even talk about your anxiety.
Yeah.
Like the addiction is like, I don't know, think about a smoker, or, intensify a smoker like 50 times. If
Yeah.
you don't have that nicotine, and then but now if you didn't have a cigarette, you'd actually be deathly sick. You
Yeah.
can't get out the bed. You can't, it's that bad.
Yeah.
When
Sorry.
people talk about addiction, I say it wasn't even about me getting high anymore. Towards the end, it was about me just trying to not be sick. Like
Yeah.
you said earlier,
And feel
I was
normal.
just to feel normal. That's the word we
Exactly.
use. Oh,
Yeah.
I just need to feel normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Now for
And
me,
dude,
right?
chasing the drug man down, and the trap houses, and selling drugs to make money, to get more money, to, live that lifestyle. And then your wife is waiting on you to come home. Your kids don't see you, and you're sleeping all day, and you're snorting up all night. Like it was a crazy life, bro, that my kids, as they were growing up, an addiction, my oldest kid started recognizing what was going on. Now you're borrowing money from your kids. Like, it's so embarrassing, bro. And it's just, it's not a life that you want to live.
Well, and I think you were out there trying to chase the high, but I also think you were out there trying
Mhm.
to numb the pain of war,
Exactly, bro.
not just
I
chasing.
was trying to find purpose, bro. I was trying to find purpose again, man. A lot of people don't talk about it, man, but a lot of people that get out of the military, even people that retire after 20 years and they did their whole tour and they feel great and they're like, I'm retiring after 25 years, they still struggle with trying to find purpose.
Yeah,
I had to get out early. So my whole thing was I wanted to be a lifer. I wanted to do this job for the rest of my life. And so for somebody to say you're not good enough now, that you got injured and that your brain is broke,
yeah.
the
So we're done with you and just
you're
dispose of you.
we're done with you. So now it's time for you to go, And so when I get out, I'm like, okay, this is now what do I do? Now, no, now I'm a 32-year-old disabled. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you can't work, you can't do this, you're broken here, you're a broke dick here. And it's just, you hear all this stuff from the VA. Oh, well, you're this and you have this and you need to take this to be normal. And your wife starts hearing it and she's getting fed up. And now she's starting to make you feel the same way because you're broke, you're broken. Oh, he can't work. Oh, he's like life just you just get sick of it.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about suicide. You start thinking about that fast life. You start thinking about I'm just gonna get high and numb all the pain.
Yeah.
And so that went on for like I said, about 7 years.
Well, 7 years. Yeah. So 7 years, you're ripping and running, you're searching for the next high, you're trying to numb the pain of war. And then we get to the point of where you get sober. Tell us what happens, what transpired. All of a sudden, does it,
Yeah.
do you wake up one day and say, I'm done with this? I know you said that you lost a
Mhm.
friend who committed suicide that was in the
Yeah.
service. I'm sorry for your loss. Was
Yeah.
it that, or was it a little bit of everything of, trying to, get yourself right, find purpose again and start living for you and take care of your wife and kids?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of all of that, man. The biggest thing is and I tell people whenever I talk about my story, going to the Mets, it was like 2018. Yeah, I believe it was about 2018. Going on, it was 2017. I went to so it's such a starting in 2016, I started getting on social media. I started doing Facebook and stuff like that. I started building a group. I had a group called Vet Life for Life. We started building a group, because even though I was an addict, I always cared about people. And
Yeah.
I've always cared about veterans. Like, my best friend just took his life. I started hearing about this number 22 a day. Like, just because I'm an addict doesn't mean I'm oblivious to what's going on,
No, exactly. So
So I'm seeing what's happening.
your
Yeah,
personal struggles led to the creation of Vet for Life.
exactly. So with me struggling and even currently going through the addiction that nobody really knew, I kept that on a back end of things. Only a few people that really were really personal with me knew. Um, when my best friend Barrero took his life, that just hit me, man. That hit me something different, because I didn't even find out, but through his daughter, who was 13 at the time. And we spent that whole year and a half at Fort Gordon together where he actually attempted suicide twice in front of me, like twice. And the military did nothing about it. They lock him up for 13 days and then they'd put him out. Oh, okay, you're good. Come on back to the barracks. Like, all you have to do is tell the doctor I'm okay and they'll let you out,
Yeah.
you know? Um, so anyways, I go home, he goes back to Puerto Rico. We kind of lose contact a little bit. All these years are going by. We're, back and forth a little bit. And then in 2016, in September, he just came across my mind. Actually, no, he actually reached out about a week prior to that on Messenger and we talked for a little bit. And then it was like a week later, I don't know, I reached out to him and no response for 3 days. And then his daughter wrote me a text and said, "Hey, this is so and so. I know you're looking for my dad." Well, basically he's telling me, "Well, guess what?" And I said, "What?" She goes, "Well, my dad's not here no more. He killed himself." Just like that, blunt. He killed himself. I said, "Oh my God." She said, "Can you guess how?" My first thought was alcohol. Because he was an alcoholic. He struggled with alcohol. He struggled with the same stuff I was, that most veterans do at the time. And I said, "What, alcohol?" She goes, "No, he hung himself and I found him." So to see her say that to me and just like the way she was so blunt about it, like she was angry and hurt. And I can hear that and I can see that in her text. So with all that said, I started raising awareness for him. And I started, hey, there's obviously an issue. Let's have a green light out on our front porch for our vets that are losing their lives every day. 22 a day is real. Like, let's do this. So as that journey was going on, I was still staying in contact with people. We were talking, we were, even though I'm strung the hell out, I'm still trying to raise awareness and do whatever there is to do. And in 2017, I got offered a service dog, went to California. I was supposed to get clean. I was clean for about, I ended up getting clean for like 15 days, ran into somebody while I was there. They filled me a bunch of pills. Again, like it was just crazy. Every time I turned around, I ran into drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here trying to get a service dog, but at the same time trying to be clean. Like life was just crazy. And I finally get back home and getting clean now in 2018. And by the way, prior to that, I had been to 2 rehabs that only lasted like 30 days because it was pretty much one of those things where it's like, you need to get clean. You need to get clean. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it, and I'll try, but it didn't last. So the last resort was basically, it was 2018, probably going on 3 days, well, 2 days. I think it was like 2 days. And I was just deadly sick, man, deadly sick. My stomach was cramping so bad. I was crying. I was throwing up. Like, it was bad. It was almost like I was on heroin. That's how bad it felt. I reached out to God, it's so embarrassing how many people that you would reach out to for money and reach out to for, when you're in that state of mind. Some dude that I don't even know, I reached out to him. I only knew him prior because I had his number. And he's like, dude, I got something for you, man. You coming over, I'll make you feel better. Like, I didn't ask questions. I jumped in my truck and I was on the way. Got there, and that's when he laid out a big ass line of meth. I'm like, bro, that's not gonna help me, man. I'm hooked on opiates. Like, I'm opioid sick right now. Like, I need opioids. He's like, nah, bro, this will make you feel better. Like, I let him talk me into it, whatever. That was my snort. Got it up. I don't know if it had a reverse reaction or what, dude, but on the way home, I totally got suicidal. Like, all I could do was think in my brain that, holy shit, now I'm a loser. Like, holy crap, I've already done, for 7 years, I'm a drug addict. For 7 years, I'm this and that. Now I'm a damn meth head. Like, I'm just done. I'm just done. Like, I can't take this life anymore. I'm sick. It's not helping me at all. So I literally, on my way home, I'm planning on how I'm going to do it. I'm going to hang myself just like my best friend did. I'll do it in the backyard. We got a perfect tree all lined up. I can step on the stump. I can do it. And guess what? I won't make a mess. All you got to do is cut me out the tree and put me in a damn box. Like, that was my mentality, bro. And I was going to do it. Like, I was done with life.
So you're driving home, that's going through your head.
I'm going to Lowe's to get some damn rope.
You make that decision in your head, basically. And what stops you from that?
I get home and I'm sick still. I'm just deadly sick. And I don't know, I don't know if it was a cry for attention. It was not attention. It was crying to reach out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was what it was, but I remember I made some type of dark post on Facebook. It was like, I'm just done with life. Something like that. And everybody knew me that knew me. I was more of a positive type person. I tried to be a good person. Like, I always try to help vets.
Yeah.
So for them to see that, a lot of them just reached out and it just started blowing up my phone. Like, my messenger was going crazy off, and I was ignoring everybody. And I tell people this story all the time, that there was a guy that I met in California that was an airborne ranger. Great dude. He was very hardcore. He had my phone number. We talked occasionally. And I guess he just happened to see that post and he blew my regular phone, not Messenger. He was calling my phone and he called it. And I remember I didn't answer it until the 6th time. Like, I ignored him 5 times because I didn't want to hear nobody. I was like, I'm done. I'm doing this. I don't care. I'm just done. And he blew my phone up, blew my phone up, blew my phone up, blew my phone up until I finally said, what's up, man? And that's all it took.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, he came at me, bro, with a different attitude. Most people want to coddle me. It'd be all right. You got this, keep your head up. This dude's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, what is your problem? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're on all these fucking drugs, on these drugs. He's like, you're crying about life. Your life is miserable, but you're the one that's doing it to yourself. He's like, get your head out of your ass, bro. If you want change, make it happen. Like,
Hit you with the truth.
go get some help, bro. Go get some help. Change your life. He came at me with like a damn drill sergeant, and I needed that. And I don't know what it was, but the way he was speaking to me and the way I was getting that truth and the way it was like, be a fucking man, step up, do what you got to do, take care of your family, do the right thing. Something clicked. I give it to God, bro. I don't know if people are religious, whatever.
I was just going to say, it sounds like a phone call from God to me.
Yes. And it was God on that phone call, man. And to even prove that point even more, it was probably 8, 9 o'clock that night. I had an opportunity to go get some drugs from next door because a guy finally texted me at the same time he got off the damn phone with me. I get a text message that says, I'm good.
Yeah.
I could have walked right across the street and got straight. I had already made it in my mind that I was ready to get clean. And all I did, dude, is I went to bed that night and I prayed. And the only thing that I prayed about that night was to ask God to please keep the same mentality when I woke up.
Yeah.
I said, God, I'll do the rest. I'll do the rest. You wake me up in the morning. You wake me up in the morning with the same attitude, with the same mindset that I want to get clean, and I'll do it.
I'll do it.
And that's what I prayed for. I woke up, bro, and the first thought, I didn't even feel sick. I woke up and I was like, I'm determined to do this. And I walked in the kitchen, my wife at the time, and I said, I'm ready to get clean. She said, what do you mean? I said, I'm ready to do it. I said, she said, yeah. You know, it was a little bit of that denial.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm serious. I said, I'm ready to do this today. Like, let's make it happen. Dude, we didn't have much money at the time. We had like I was spending all our damn money. I think we had maybe $600 in the account.
Yeah.
Exactly $600. I was living in Florence, South Carolina. We called it. She got on the phone. She started calling all these detox centers and stuff. VA wasn't paying for nothing. VA wasn't getting me no insurance or nothing. So we had to pay it out of pocket. So she found a place that would take me that day. Because they even asked me, they were like, do you want to come tomorrow? I said, no, I need to go now. Like, I need to go now. So we found a place, and guess how much it cost? $600 exact. It took every dollar that we had. We went up there that day. I packed a bag, gave him $600, and I ended up spending 10 days in inpatient treatment center. 10 days, inpatient detox center. Got through that. First day out, I joined the intensive outpatient treatment center. 4 days a week, I had to go to counseling at like 3 hours per session. So it was 5 days a week. 5 days a week, 3-hour sessions every single day for 7 months.
Yeah.
And I was clean and sober, bro, at the time. 7 months, I did it. And I remember getting on Facebook, and I mean, I had been talking to people prior to that, but not really engaging a whole lot. And I finally just jumped on Facebook Live one day, dude, and it was like 7 months later, and I was like, yo, I was so motivated. I was so proud of myself. I was like, for y'all that don't know me, my name is Shawn, aka the veteran guy. I suffer with addiction for 7 years. I'm clean and sober. I've been clean now for 7 months. If I can do it, you can do it. Let's go. And I went viral, bro.
Yeah.
And that was the change in my life, man.
That's
I
That's
I
awesome.
started writing books, started speaking on stages, like went from drug to the streets to podcasts.
Yeah, as I
speaking,
like to
writing
say,
books.
you turned your pain into purpose,
That's it.
you know?
You know, I had a podcast, bro. It's called From Struggles to Success.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No,
So, so it all kind of came together.
and are you still with your wife now?
So unfortunately, we made it through all of that, man, and we just separated last year. Like,
Oh, okay.
finally,
But she was there with you through, she had your back through the struggles and through the addiction, and she was
through
there.
the military, through the deployments, the addiction. So I will never badmouth her. We spent 18 years together. My baby girl's 16 now.
Yeah.
All my other kids are pretty grown, so we were able to at least be there for them. And we always said that we would try to make it through, our children. I just think it was time. I think we both mentally checked out. I think she checked out mentally many years ago.
Yeah.
But hey, she stuck around, and now she's doing her. No hard feelings on that, really.
So you ready to get into some questions here?
But yeah, man. First I want to say is that when all that happened, dude, it was insane because it was like, and life went fast. I started running a nonprofit for a while.
Yeah. So let's just take the listeners back. So you get on, you do your thing, you're sober, and you blow up. You blow up instantly, And obviously, people probably calling, asking, they see 2 tours in Afghanistan. This guy's the real deal. He went over there, served, and he's sober now. It took him some time, but through the work and the dedication of himself, 7 months sober, you get online, you blow up. What goes from there? What happens next?
A lot of politics. I ended up joining TikTok around 2019. That was like the second platform. Like, I'm already, Instagram's all right, whatever, but Facebook's kind of taking me pretty far, right? I'm starting to do events now. Dude, I've never held an event in a day in my life. You're talking about somebody that came from the we didn't get into the details, but I kind of grew up in the streets a little bit, a lot of street life. But whatever. And, I got through that and whatever. And then for the last 7 years, I've been kind of in and out of the streets, on the drug life, trap houses, that type of life. Then I go to hosting events, veteran 22K walks, big, huge events in Myrtle Beach with, 200 people. it was crazy how everything was just going. And dude, I sat down and wrote a book called Veteran Mindset 2.0. Like, literally talks about how to change your mindset into a better person. And I'm doing all these things. And of course, at the same time, I'm still struggling with my depression. I'm still struggling with my anxiety. I'm still struggling with my PTSD. I'm still struggling with a lot of things. I'm still struggling with trying to stay sober and trying to stay, because it's not like I'm clean and sober and I don't have to deal with it no more. Like, those demons still exist in me.
Exactly.
And I have to fight those urges, and I have to remember that my worth is better than going back to that.
Yeah.
And
One day at a time.
and things one day at a time, bro, and
All you can
that's what
do.
I've been doing, and so I joined TikTok, and to go back a little bit, Facebook, one of the reasons I joined TikTok is because I did a political post one day on Facebook, and I was just in my mood, and I was like, "I'm so sick of," this was at the time, like, 2018, 19, when people were burning our flags and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and it was just driving me crazy, and I just, and the whole Biden thing, like, all this crazy stuff was going on, and I was just like, "You know what, for all of you people, we've lost men and women in this country. That flag means more than, and it's more than just a flag. Like, freedom's is paid by blood. You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't have no idea the sacrifice that people put, for your freedoms." And I just made this whole post. Facebook banned me, bro. Like, they banned me. They cut my whole account off. I had to start completely over, which would ended up being a blessing because I had a couple thousand followers, where
Yeah.
now I'm almost at 90,000 followers. So it was obviously a blessing in disguise, but I jumped over to TikTok, and that's when I started a whole new family. I started doing the same thing, going live, started talking about my stories, started creating a new family where I'm at almost a 500,000 followers over there. So, like, it's just, it just progressed into everything. And that's just, so really my life has been social media. My life has been recorded, showing what my journey on what I'm doing, my ups, my downs, my bad days, my good days. I do a little bit of different content, a little bit of relationship stuff, a little bit of thirst traps.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of everything because I'm having fun now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having fun now. And I realized that, you know what, dude, I've helped people for so long and I've done it for so long that you can burn out, and the burnout is real. And if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of other people.
Yeah.
And so I had to really step back for a moment and figure out what I really wanted in life, and realize that if I don't take care of myself, then I can't take care of nobody. So I just, I had to kind of revamp myself and kind of figure out what it is, and I think we all go through that,
Yeah. You
personal
can't pour
changes.
from an empty cup,
Exactly.
You
And
know?
so, yeah, man, that's kind of what led me to you, and having a team, and doing podcasts, and just trying to get back out there and do what I do.
Yeah.
So,
We're honored to have you here. So we're gonna get into some questions now. You've heard what he said. You've heard, from Afghanistan to the streets of South Carolina, ripping and running, doing drugs. Then he gets sober. He blows up on Facebook. Then he goes to TikTok, speaking to vets, speaking about veterans, the veteran struggles, and we're going to get into some of that as well. Some questions here. So I know that, what was your hardest part of transitioning from soldier to civilian, and what do most people misunderstand about that process?
I think for me, and I try to tell people, is the structure. Maybe the for me it was like, imagine having, no matter what age you are, imagine having that structure where you have like Big Brother there. That's like, you got formation 06, Chow's at 08. Make sure you got PT 05. You're going to be here at this. This is your time. You got to be at 05. Oh, you got financial issues. You're going to go to talk to finance. Oh, you got to do, like, your whole life is controlled.
Yeah.
And so even as you gain rank, E5, E6, E7, E8, whatever, they all got bosses, and they all are structured in a way to where you wake up, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. So getting out of the military for me was like, nobody telling me what to do. What do I do? Like, that's when you got to rely on your discipline. You got to rely on your training. You got to rely on what you've been taught to go out into the world and do you. But for a lot of us, it struggles, man. They teach you to put that uniform on. They don't teach you to take it off.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of
And
the
I
biggest.
think for me,
So, what do you believe is the biggest barrier preventing veterans from seeking help? One of the biggest things that, and I'll circle back to the question after I say this, but one of the things that disturbed me was you said that when you went, it cost you $600, the VA, and nobody paid for that. You had to pay out of your own pocket.
I mean, maybe if I would have called, and maybe if I would have explained to, I didn't put a whole lot of effort in, honestly. I didn't call the VA, and I didn't tell them my situation because I was so desperate to get clean that I didn't have time just to pick up the phone and call them.
Okay.
But there has been incidents that if people are like, if you don't have a certain percentage, the VA, now they have a whole substance abuse program.
Yeah.
Now they have that, but I don't think back then they had it very much where it was like, oh, you're a veteran, you're suffering with alcohol or this or that. It was more of a, we were just too damn scared because we
Yeah.
didn't want like something to happen and be like, oh, we're taking your benefits from you,
No, exactly.
Um,
But to me as a civilian, right, one of the biggest things I believe is that, when you do serve in the military and you come back, whether you served, in war or, wartime or not, whether you saw combat or not, you should have every tool available to
yeah.
because
Isn't
you
it
guys
mind
have made the
blowing that
biggest
they
sacrifice.
base it off of your percentage? So, oh, you're 100%, we're gonna give you this. Oh, you're only 30%, we're gonna give you this.
Give you
You're 50%, we're gonna give you this. Well, how about the fact that this is a veteran that put his life on the line and willing to serve and is hurt now? So why don't you just take care of him?
Yeah.
Like, we don't think this way, bro. I hope the audience don't realize, like, I know I'm not entitled to nothing, nothing, and I don't ask for nothing, and I don't care about having discounts. I don't care about none of that shit.
Yeah.
All I care about is being taken care of,
Yeah.
and I don't care about nothing else. You can like when I signed that paper at the very beginning, nobody came to me and said, "Oh, by the way, if you get injured, the VA is going to take care of you, and you're going to get percentages, and you're going to get a 10% discount at McDonald's."
Hey,
Like nobody told us that shit.
yeah.
We thought was we're just going to sign this dotted line, and if something happens, then whatever. I died for my country. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and I want people to think that we care. Like none of us give a damn about the benefits when we're signing because
No.
we don't see the benefits. We don't know what benefits are.
Yeah.
You know.
That's one of the biggest things for me, and I think we all need to, as Americans, is push our lawmakers, right, to make
Mhm.
sure that there's no veteran left behind.
We
No,
shouldn't have people
nobody.
out here.
It should be just a no-brainer. I'm a firm believer, and I say this all the time on my show. If you serve in the military, I believe that when you come home, your health insurance for you and your family should be taken care of for the rest of your life, regardless
Yeah.
of how many kids you have or how many future kids you have. I also believe that if you're going to purchase a $300,000 or $400,000 house, there is a limit there. But the military, the government should pay friggin' if you're buying a 400,000.
Well, they give you the VA loan,
Yeah,
but guess what? You got to pay the loan back. Okay, 0% interest on some occasionals.
yeah,
Okay, but guess what? I still can't get one because I don't have great credit. Like it still boils down to credit, and it still boils down to the same old bullshit.
bullshit
Like, how about you
politics
look
as
at me
usual.
and why don't you just look at me and go, okay, well, he's 100% disabled. He has a guaranteed income.
Yeah.
Let him have a house.
Like I was
No, we
saying,
don't do
if
that.
you're trying to buy a $300,000 house and you come out of the military should be there and the government should be there with the check for $150,000 and you pay
Yeah,
$150,000 for the house. That's how it should be. We have millions and
yeah,
billions of dollars to
that'd be
send
nice.
but we have millions and billions to send to Israel to,
Yeah,
and I'm not downplaying anyone's,
there you go.
role in anything. Whether it's
Yeah, yeah,
Ukraine or whether it's Israel. But first, nation building, where does it start? It starts at home. If we're going to
right,
build this nation up
right.
and take care of our veterans, we should be taking care of us first. And then if we have some
I
left over,
agree.
let's give it out. But, let's take care of our veterans first. We have so many veterans right now, like you said, that can't get help. So what kind of veteran is going to come home and speak out about friggin' having problems if they can't get the help? Why are they going to talk? It's just
Yeah,
pissing in the wind. It's so
yeah.
frustrating because regardless, like I said, if you served in wartime or not, once you put that uniform on and you sign away your rights and you go join the military, you should be taken care of, regardless of
Mm,
what you saw, what you didn't see, what you witnessed. It's just frustrating to think that the country doesn't do that.
agree,
So frustrating.
agree.
So you
And
talk
not even
about
including with the family members and the wives and the kids don't get nothing,
no,
they don't get no support, they don't get no check. It's
and think
just
about
it's
it, like, think about someone that, you know, someone like you, right, that came home and, you're off running, doing drugs and all that. Maybe the government could have, the government, the military could have given your wife and kids, some, therapy if they wanted it,
offer
results of
something.
you going and serving 2 tours in Afghanistan,
Yeah,
again, seeing things that nobody should ever see,
it's
you know?
crazy.
So I know you talk about mindset often. What does warrior mindset mean in the context of healing and recovery?
I think a warrior mindset is having that it's kinda like not necessarily barbaric, but it's like just a fighter mindset, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that you need to step up, like that day when my buddy came at me and he's like, "Yo, you need to change, you need to get your head out of your ass." Like, that's a warrior mindset. You gotta be ready to go to war, and for veterans that have been in deployments or even veterans that haven't, that just been through boot camp, boot camp's not easy. And so they had to have that warrior mindset going in with a drill sergeant, a drill instructor, or whatever yelling at you. You had to have that mindset that says, I'm going to take this. I can deal with this. I'm going to do this. And you crawl under the barbed wires and you run all across the fence and you're doing that 20-mile runs and the marches. Like, that's a warrior mindset. Even somebody successful in the civilian world like yourself, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to make this podcast the best in the nation. I'm going to do this. We're going to hit #1. You got to have that warrior mindset. And
Yeah.
that's, to me, is what having a warrior mindset is just knowing that you're going to win one way or another and you're going to get it done.
Yeah. And I'm going to run through every fence and I'm going to,
You're going to run through everything.
I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure, and then, so in the context of healing and recovery, right, you say, if you have that warrior mindset, right, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to,
That's right.
you're still going to struggle, right? Struggles are natural. We're all humans. We struggle. But again, right,
Yep.
if you have that mindset that, hey, I'm going to make it one way or another, I'm going to be successful one way or another. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but as long as you can keep going and keep pushing and fighting through, you'll get to the other side.
Well, partly what I tell people, man, one of the biggest things when people ask me, it's so crazy, and it's a simple question. People go, how'd you get clean? How'd you get clean?
Yeah.
How did you do it? Because I know at that time, in that mindset, they're all like, man, I've been there. I'm like, dude, I'm never going to be clean. I ain't never going to get off these drugs. I'm going to be like this forever. You have that kind of victim mentality. Like, it's, the world's against me. Nobody cares about me. This is all, whatever. And the one thing that I tell people and I had to learn was you have to do it for you.
Exactly.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to want it. And I wanted it that day, and people are like, well, I got clean for my kids. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. At the end of the day, your kids was a motivation. At the end of the day, your spouse might have motivated you, but you wanted to get clean. Because if you didn't want it, it wouldn't have happened. You would have been out there still doing the same shit you were doing before. So don't give me that, because yeah, you love your kids are your life. I get it. But you did it for you, and you ultimately did it for your children, but you did it for you so you could be there for your children.
Exactly.
And people, and that's what my answer to that is how do you get clean? You got to want to get clean. You got to actually want it. If you ever meet an addict, bro, and he's like, man, and you're talking to him and he's like actively in the addiction, you just look at him and say, hey, you don't really want to be clean, do you? It's the truth. And he might offend him a little bit, but he's going to be like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, no, dude, if you really wanted to be clean, you would make it happen.
Yeah.
You'd make it happen. You would do whatever it took to get your ass off the streets and go get help.
Yeah. No, we have this thing down here in Boston called Methadone Mile where, there's addicts everywhere. And, I've talked to a few of them, and sometimes, what the big thing is I ask them, do you want to get sober? Do you want to get, and they all tell me no.
They don't want to.
So I'm a firm believer of you got to meet people where they're at, right? You can't force people to go to rehab because it's not going to work. But like you said, when you actually look in the mirror and you say to yourself, hey, I want help, I'm going to do it. When you take the truth and you realize the truth, hey, I want some help, then you'll get it. Because if you start forcing everybody, no one's going to get sober because nobody wants to
listen. You're going to have that animosity. Like I used to tell people, like, if I would have done it, like, that's why I didn't last the 2 times I went to rehab, because I was doing it for my wife. I was getting these ultimatums. I was doing it for my kids. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it creates an animosity. Like, if you were telling me, Shawn, if you don't get clean, we're done. And I go, okay, well, fine. I'll go get clean. Guess what's going to happen our first argument? I got clean for you, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got clean for you. I'm here for you. And you're going to treat me this way? It doesn't work. Now I can go, I got clean for me. I didn't do it for you. I didn't do it for you. I didn't do it for you. Or didn't for you. I did it for me. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love I love y'all, but I had to do it for Shawn so I could be that good dad again. So I could be that husband, and be there ultimately at the end.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, that's kind of what the warrior mindset involved with the recovery and healing. You got to want it, and you got to put in that work.
No, that's awesome. So, what message do you wish every veteran struggling in silence could hear right now?
That they matter, that their life matters, that no matter what they've been through, that it's okay. Like, you may not have deployed, or you may have lost a battle buddy, or it might even be you struggling with guilt. There's things, I can't remember the exact term, but there's some type of guilt when you lose a battle buddy or a friend, or it's a guilt. Just know that you matter, that your life matters, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done, no matter the struggles you've been through. Like, it used to be very embarrassing to me to tell people about my addiction, because it was embarrassing because people judge me all the time. But then I started realizing, you know what? I don't care. If you're going to judge me and you don't like me because of my past, then you don't deserve my future or who I am. So, I would just say you matter, and don't ever forget that, and know that you are loved, and there's people that do understand. You just got to find those people, and they're out there.
So, what inspired the writing of Veteran Mindset 2.0? What impact did you hope it would have?
Man, I guess at the time, dude, it was like I was doing so much like speaking and I was talking on lives and I was inspiring and motivating. At the time, I didn't feel like it was enough. Like I just wanted to do more. I wanted to find a solution to us, to so many veterans taking their lives, bro. Like the 22 is just a number. That's just an average. The real number is like between 42 and 50 veterans every single day commit suicide. Veterans, over 45 veterans every single day. And that's not even including, imagine every veteran that we lost to a drug overdose that they don't count.
Yeah.
Imagine every drunk driving veteran we don't count. Imagine every veteran, this is really going to blow your mind. Imagine every veteran that has committed suicide that's not even registered in the VA, that don't even know that we lost. So if you want to be realistically, hell, we could be losing 100 veterans
100
today.
veterans.
So I wanted to find a solution. I just wanted people to, and I get not everybody reads, and I get not, but what I wanted to do was just for those that were, because kind of like we talk about, you got to want it. There for a while, bro, it got so frustrating of talking to people and coaching people and trying to inspire people that I got tired of trying to force people. And I realized you can't force people to change. You can't force people to want to be better. So I'm like, you know what? If you're going to invest in yourself and you're actually going to buy a book and actually learn this book and read this book and do the practicals in this book and live by this book and do what you got to do, like it's a guide. It basically says, it just teaches you, how do you upgrade your mindset? How do you get to this next level? How do you do this? It's like use your mindset, and critical thinking and just figuring out solutions. And it just gives you purpose. And I wanted to find a way to just to kind of to relate to people, but also, and my only regret, dude, and I say this a lot, is I wish I wouldn't have named it Veteran Mindset, because it's unbelievable how many civilians that book has helped. Because it's an all-around book on just how to upgrade your mindset. There's a few pages that go on about being a veteran, but for the most part, it's just really mindset and just how to be a better person and just recognizing things and how to fix problems. And it's just, I don't know, God helped me through that book, bro. And I just sat there for a year. Took me a year to write that, 100-page book. And it's my first one ever. And it did really good. We hit Amazon, we hit #1 Amazon new release.
So where can they find it besides Amazon?
I think that's the only place that book currently is on Amazon. I do have another book, and I'll tell you how that came about if you're interested.
Definitely.
I have another one. It's called Dear Friend. And this is a really interesting story. So on Facebook during this whole time, and like, recently a few years, I have a pretty big following, and I always try to inspire and write quotes and stuff and different things. And I was sitting around one day and I'm always trying to figure out a way to inspire people on, social media. And I said, what if I created a letter? Like a letter to somebody that could read a letter to themselves and just kind of motivate them once a week. Like they just read it and they go, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So every week, every Monday, I would write this Dear Friend, and I'd write just some motivational stuff just to get people out of their head or make them feel good. Well, we did that. I did that for, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months. And I was talking to some friends and I was like, dude, what if one day I took all of those and put them into a book and just called it Dear Friend? And we were talking, they're like, dude, that'd be an incredible idea. Well, it's been 2 years since I've done that. And so me and some friends were talking not too long ago, and they believed in me so much that they put it all together. They took every quote that I ever wrote on those times. They put it all together, 31 days strong, turned it into a journal book to where you can write your own journals and stuff. And it starts with day 1 to day 31, and it's called Dear Friend. And every day you have something inspiring to read just to motivate you. Yeah, that one's actually on Amazon, and that one's on Barnes and Noble's website.
That's called Dear
It's
Friend.
really Dear Friend. Yep.
Perfect. So we got a couple more questions. So how can civilians better support veterans beyond the typical thank you for your service?
That's a tough one, man. As me being a civilian now too, I try to think, I mean, I'm a veteran, but also I try to, I am a civilian too now, all right? Like I'm not in the military anymore. And I think just maybe just being there and understanding, like trying to take the time to understand, kind of like what you're doing right now. You know what I mean? Like I know you got family in your military, but you're actually taking the time to talk to a veteran, listen to his story, understand what he's going through. Like if you really care and you really want to understand, if you really want to learn what's going on with vets, talk to them.
Yeah.
Just talk to them. Don't be scared. There's no offensive question. I mean, you're obviously not going to walk into an event and be like, how many people did you kill? Or how
No,
many people
exactly.
did you see die?
Yeah.
You know, that type of shit, you know, but if you're just like you learning and understand their struggles, and most of us are pretty open. Most of us
Yeah.
are pretty open and they'll tell you, you know, because unless you get a Vietnam veteran, a lot of those guys are a lot tougher, a lot hardcore.
They don't want to talk
But
either. Most of them.
they don't want
You
to
know.
talk, you know, and they come from an era, a different era. They
Yeah.
come from a time where it's like, you know, and that's one thing I wanted to step back on a minute when we were talking about. You asked me a question, and you were, I don't remember, it might have been the second question, but I wanted a lot of shamefulness. People feel ashamed to come out and they don't want to admit that we have problems. People look at us like, you're a veteran, you're hardcore, you're
Yeah.
rah, rah, you
Yeah.
know, especially a Marine or an Army guy, like you're ooh. And it's like you got to come off with this tough guy type persona. And it's like, dude, just because we're vets don't mean we don't have emotions. That's
No.
like we don't, you know, we don't love people and care for people or whatever, you know. So that would be my answer, man, is just get to know vets a little bit better. Don't listen to the propaganda, don't listen to all the news. Just talk to a veteran every now and then and see how they're doing.
No, and that's one of the biggest things when you know, whenever, and this is for any veterans that will hear this episode, you know, shoot me a message. You can find me at Uncle Jimmy's podcast. You know, my email is
Yeah.
unclejimmyspodcast@gmail.com. I would love to have you on, have you talk, you know, the same thing we're doing here, because I also think that, you know, to have a veteran on to talk and talk it out, you know, it helps them as well. You know, it just doesn't help the community to learn of, you know, what veterans faced, you know, what they're facing now, but it also lets them know and it puts a face to, you know, a veteran per se, you know. But the biggest thing for me is you know, I volunteer some time at this shelter in Boston here for veterans, and it's always, you know, lunch or sometimes a dinner crowd, and you know, it's great to
Nice.
see the guys, you know, and girls, you know, but it's also tough too because you see a lot of, you know, a lot of them hooked on drugs, a lot of them drinking, you know, but who am I to say, you know, I don't know what they've been through, what they've seen. You know, people don't get that from Vietnam on, you know, even before that, World War II, and all these veterans that have served in wartime, you know, we're almost always at wartime, but that have seen action and things that they've seen. No human mind is supposed to see anything like that, you know.
Don't
So
forget, we were at war for 20 years.
20
You know,
years.
we were with Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years. And prior to that, of course, we had that time off with Vietnam, but even Vietnam with the 10 years of Vietnam bullshit and then
Yeah.
all the other conflicts. And then you're talking about a generation from 20 years. We, you know, 2001, basically, all the way up to, you know, whatever, was it 18 or something?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. It's
Yeah.
just, generation. And you know what's crazy, bro? And just to throw this out there, you're talking to somebody that's done 2 deployments. Wait till you talk to the guy that done 5,
Yeah. Exactly.
6, 7, 8 deployments. Like
Yeah.
I got guys I know that, dude, I could it's sad, bro. Talk
I
to
can
them
only
and
imagine one, you know, never mind
yeah,
freaking
yeah.
two like you did, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Sure.
like,
Insane. I got a friend of mine, dude, no lie, that been to Afghanistan 3 times, Iraq twice. So
jeez.
he went to 3, 4, 5, 6, came 7, 8, 9, like, and married. Well, now he's divorced, obviously,
Yeah.
but you figure, I mean, just
Just
year
imagine
after
that
year
though,
and
7, 8 years of straight war. That's all he sees.
straight war.
What, you know, what does the government expect? What does the military expect when this man comes back?
Exactly.
All that he's seen is death and you know, shooting and war. What do you expect?
Was Vietnam veterans, you know, back then it wasn't tours like per se. Well, I know World War II wasn't. World War II, they would go to war for 5 years. They'd go
Yep.
to war for like you'd go to war and then you'd come home. Like it wasn't like, oh, you're gonna do 15 months, 12 months, 9 months, 6 months. Like it was, you know, and I don't know if Vietnam was quite like that. I think I heard a lot of people, sometimes was like you do 2 years or whatever, but you didn't come home till you were injured,
Yeah.
really. It seemed
Well,
like,
then
oh, he took a bullet, he's going home.
remember the veterans when they came back from Vietnam. That was way before me, but you watch the videos, the public friggin' spit on them, and you
Bid
know,
on him,
it's
called him baby
disgusting.
killer,
Yeah. And
kind
those
of
were
stuff.
most people that were drafted. They had no choice.
The
Oh,
sad part is a lot of us vets today go through that same type of scrutiny on social media. Like
yeah.
you'd be surprised. You can do a video, like I could do a video about being a veteran and talk about whatever, the conflict. I don't care what side you're on. They're gonna have people just attacking you
Yeah.
because in their mindset they've been taught or they believe that, you know, we're all, you know, killers and we're
Yeah.
all out to hurt people and we're all trying to drop bombs on everybody. Like, dude, we follow orders, but we don't just kill people,
That's it. Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
You know? we're here for our man on the right and the man on the left, and we're gonna protect them as we protect ourselves, and we do what we have to do. But
Yeah,
I'm not saying everything's perfect. We obviously do have good and bad, just like we have good cops, bad cops. We got good,
exactly. You have good and bad in
you know,
every industry, every job,
in every industry.
every, across the
Right.
world, So we got 3 more questions for you. So what is the biggest message you want younger veterans facing their first major struggle to understand?
Don't be ashamed to reach out. Like, don't be scared to reach out. Like, that was my biggest thing. Like, every time was to reach out, even when I was, and I get it, when you're in a war zone, it's a little bit more difficult because you got to be strong minded. You got to, that they got your team's got to trust you. The team's got to know that you're there and you got their back and you got, that you got your head on right. But if you are struggling, it is very important to reach out and get help, because just trying to deal with it on your own in the long run, it's going to hurt you. In the long run, you're going to try to deal with it on your own, and you're going to end up drinking or smoking or, taking drugs just to kill the pain. And it's just reach out early. Reach out
Yeah.
early. If you have some type of symptoms, don't be scared to reach out.
So I know you might have just answered this. So if someone listening right now feels lost, what's the very first step they should take toward getting help?
If someone is feeling lost, definitely the same thing. Just maybe what I would do is maybe find another veteran, or if you're on active duty, find that kind of upper, command, like not necessarily going as far as up like a platoon sergeant, but maybe just like a team leader, or find, like I said earlier, find that niche, find those people, your village, ask other veterans, ask older veterans, ask the guys that's been around a while, and just say, hey man, I'm feeling sort of lost. Like, is there any ideas? Like, get active, get into organizations, find other groups, get motivated, go fishing, go help. One thing I would say is, if you're feeling lost, do what I've done is it give me purpose to help other people.
Yeah.
So by me helping other people, I help myself.
Like
That's how
you've
I would
turned
try to
that
get
pain,
involved and try
you've
to.
turned that pain into purpose, and now you're helping, like you said, not just veterans,
That's
but
right.
regular everyday people, civilians.
Regular people. Yeah.
So last
My biggest
question.
supporters are civilians, bro.
Yeah. So last question. What are the warning signs friends and family should look for when a veteran is silently suffering?
Isolation.
Yeah. That's the biggest one.
Isolation. I think so. For me, it was anyways. No longer talking to people, very isolation, very not motivated, very, depression is big, man.
Yeah.
Depression is huge, and it doesn't even just come from the military. Like, we all suffer with some
We
type of
all do.
depression.
Yeah, I
And
suffer from
it
depression myself and anxiety.
yeah, it's crazy how I think it's just one of these very most common things that we all have in common, and either you want to admit it or not. And I get some are more complex and more, worse than others, but look for those signs. If you see somebody in your family that's very open, very hey, and now they're being very isolated, very quiet, very distant, I would definitely keep an eye on them and just say, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are things all right with you?" And don't always expect to get an answer either. A lot of I'm fine. I'm good. I'm okay. But be persistent and just, "Hey, what's going on with you?" I know, like, I want to
And
just
it's
make it a
okay
little bit
not to
more.
be okay.
It's okay not to be okay. It's just not okay to stay there.
Exactly.
And don't be scared to be blunt, because in my story, if it wasn't for this guy being very blunt with me and giving me tough love, we don't always have to coddle people. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. We're in a time of coddling, but we don't need to coddle everybody. Like, some of us, we like that kind of, let's go, get your
Yeah.
at, let's go. And
And I think,
to do that.
coddling them sometimes ends up enabling them sometimes.
It does. It
You know?
absolutely does. And that's what happened to me. They were coddling me so much. It's like, oh, it'll be all right. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. You don't always want to hear that. You want somebody to come up to you and be like, dude, sometimes that hardcore truth is really what gets you to that next level.
Yeah.
And so if you are a family member or a friend, and you have a friend that you notice is struggling and they're not being honest, just tell them straight up, or her, I know you're lying. I know there's something going on. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Get in their face, get in their shit, and be like, yo, let's figure this out.
Yeah. Because that's one of my biggest things when my depression starts kicking in really bad. It's, I go from talking to texting to being around to where the fuck
Yep.
did he go?
Yep. Yep. You
You
get a
know?
lot of your friends probably be like, dude, ain't heard from you like in a week. What's going on?
And,
And it's just
my
like, dude,
excuse becomes I worked 7 days a week, 16 hours this week. When in reality, I was home under the covers, just fucking not wanting to get out of bed and that's, do
man.
struggle with depression. But the biggest thing I've learned is that it's okay not to be okay. But there are people, sometimes when you're feeling down and out, feeling sorry for yourself, you put yourself in a bad position. I've always been very lucky where I've always gotten a text, a phone call, a social media message from somebody saying, "Hey, you okay?" And it's always from people you may never expect that you would hear from.
Crazy, right? And it
Yeah.
always makes you feel a little bit good, don't it?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yep.
Because we do. We live in a very society where everybody's wants to keep up with the Joneses. Everybody wants to make $1 million. Everybody wants to be famous, and where everything's so just readily available on the phones, whether it's social media or the news, where everybody wants to just be the face front and center. But for me, is like I said, is just when you're not hearing from me, I'm in bed. And we all struggle. Shawn struggled,
We do.
but he showed us through his strength, his resiliency. He got back on his feet. Now he's turning all that into his pain into purpose. And Shawn, I appreciate you, coming on and sharing your story. And I can't wait for the listeners to hear it. Do you have any advice or anything for the listeners before I do my closing?
No, just thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to, listen to a vet story. And I know you have passion for it and all that you do. And anybody out here, like I said at the end of this, just if you are struggling, please reach out. You guys can find me on TikTok. Sir Veteran Guy. Find me on Shawn Laurie on Facebook. I will try to get back to you. Just shoot me a DM and just, I don't know, believe in yourself. That's all we have. I mean, we got people that will believe in us, but they're not going to do the work for you. So if you want it, you got to go get it and just go out there and grind and hustle, man. This is a world we are living in some of the best times, honestly. I mean, it's the worst, but the best times. I like to say that because no way's been easier to make money. No way's been easier to be successful. No way's been easier to be heard. Go out there, use your voice and use it for however you see fit. And let's change the world together and let's all love each other.
We're all in it together, as I like to say,
That's right.
So, Shawn, thank you. Thank you for your strength, your honesty, and for carrying forward a mission that is as sacred as the flag flying over this nation. Your journey reminds us that the greatest heroes are not only those who fight our wars, but those who return home and fight for others. You have shown us that healing is not weakness, it is courage, that speaking truth is not surrender, it is victory, and that the American warrior spirit is not defined by the battles we've endured, but by the battles we choose to help others overcome. To every veteran listening, your story matters. Your life matters. In this country, your country is grateful beyond measure for the sacrifices you've made. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. And this nation is forever grateful for your sacrifice and your spirit. If you're struggling, reach out. If you're hurting, speak up. There is hope. There is help. And because of voices like Shawn's, there is a path forward. Shawn, on behalf of this show, the audience, and a nation that still believes in its heroes, we thank you for your service, your heart, and your relentless determination to pull others from the darkness. You remind us that America is strongest when its warriors support one another. May God bless you. May God bless our veterans, and may God bless the United States of America. Peace and love. Peace and love. Uncle Jimmy out.